need some company.
1.1.
1.
What do you think about working from home?
2. How do you feel about working abroad? 3.
I think that would be really difficult. How about you?
4. Don't you think it would be better to go to university?
2. What's in a voice?
2.1.
1.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
2.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
3.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
4.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
5.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
6.
I really enjoyed our conversation.
2.2.
1.
Nothing on tonight. Treat yourself to pieces of heaven in a box. Moonlight magic. Chocolates to die for. 2.
Final countdown. Last day to grab those bargains. Get along to Carpet Stores for fantastic savings on all leading makes. Don't miss out. You'll be amazed by our prices. Hurry to Carpet Stores Winter Sale now.
3. Your hair spoiling your social life? Fed up with tangles and split ends? Spending a fortune at the hairdressers? Well, stop right there. Our new formula, Revel 5, will save you time and money. Say goodbye to dry hair with Revel 5 shampoo and conditioner. Let us help you.
4.
He's done it again. Mud from the football pitch, tomato sauce from dinner, grass from fighting with his sister. Just how am I expected to get these things clean?
You obviously haven't heard about our new improved White Star washing powder. Guaranteed to remove any stain your young hooligan can come up with. Try it and see. Perfect results or your money back. White Star washing powder. Light years ahead of its time.
5.
Sleek. Sexy. With all the curves in the right places. And a purring performance to outdistance all the competition. The new Panther Saloon. Stay in front.
6. That time of year again. Insurance renewal. Scratching your head over the maze of offers out there. Insurance Direct offers you easy, fast, no-fuss quotations over the phone. We are the best. Contact us now. For all your insurance needs, from health to holidays, pets to property, call us on 0800 7766 2381. That's 0800 7766 2381.
Unit 6. It's good to gossip.
6.1.
1.
I'll do all your laundry for a month if you say yes.
2.
The film was rubbish, the coffee was cold, and it was freezing in the cinema.
3.
He has no tact at all when he's talking to people.
4.
I cannot believe he did that to you. Wait till I see him. My brother is the biggest cheater on this planet, and I'm sick of him thinking he can just treat every girl he goes out with so badly. You wait till I tell Mum about this latest incident.
5.
Weather's brilliant again, isn't it? What did you get up to yesterday, then?
6.
You're about the most intelligent guy I've met in years. A first from Cambridge. That's amazing. Tell me about your research in that lovely Ferrari of yours.
On today's program, our guest is psychologist Susie Rogers, and we're discussing Helen Haynes' new book with the interesting title, Gossip is Good for You. Hello, Susie.
Hello.
So, this title, Gossip is Good for You, I think most people will be behind me when I say that surely gossip, by its very nature, implies that people are saying bad things about other people when they're not there to defend themselves. What good can there be in that?
You see, you're falling into the trap of thinking that all gossip is negative. It's not. Only about 5% of gossip is dissing other people.
You obviously haven't been in our canteen when the boss is away.
But that's healthy, you see. You're getting rid of your frustrations, and at the same time, you're bonding with your colleagues, and that's good.
Ah, so it's all about bonding.
Yes. They say that since we've had language, the human race has always had a form of gossip. It's connected with building relationships, making social rules, establishing status, sharing opinions, and making us feel accepted and part of society.
Oh. So me saying that my boss is a creepy, arrogant old... Only an example, Robert, you're a sweetie, really, is going to help me feel part of the group.
If the others share your opinion, yes. But remember, gossip is not always bad. We gossip about ourselves, our experiences, and family. We use gossip to get and give advice. We exchange social information.
Right. So, when I say, hey, Fran, who was that gorgeous guy I saw you with outside your house yesterday? And she says, that's my new plumber. We're exchanging social information.
Exactly. And an important feel-good factor about gossiping is that it releases endorphins.
Endorphins?
You know, natural painkillers.
Oh.
It makes you more relaxed, reduces the heart rate, and gets rid of stress. You really do feel better after a good goss.
And the big question, do women really gossip more than men?
Well, the statistics show, no, not really. There's very little difference. The main difference is that men gossip more about their own relationships, and women are more keen to admit that they gossip, whereas men usually deny it completely.
Well, thanks, Susie. A revelation. Our time is up. We have to finish. But just before you go, who was that gorgeous woman you were talking to just before we came on air?
6.3.
You'll never guess what I heard on the train this morning.
Go on.
Apparently, they're going to treble the prices on some routes.
You're joking.
And they're going to charge extra if you're over a certain weight.
Now, come on. That's got to be a wind-up.
No way. The woman that's married to the tall ticket inspector told the guy who runs the cafe. And he told my friend Bill.
Unit 8. Have your say.
8.1.
1.
One person can't make a difference.
2.
What's the point?
3.
It's time the silent majority spoke up.
4.
Leave it to the politicians. They know what they're doing.
5.
I'll go along with whatever you decide.
6.
Why bother? It's pointless.
7.
If everyone thought like you, nothing would ever get done.
8.
I couldn't care less.
9.
People are so apathetic these days.
10.
No one else cares. Why should I?
11.
If everyone did their bit, we could really change things.
12.
We need to make our feelings known, if just for our own conscience.
Unit 10. Smile, please.
10.1.
Cheer up.
Why should I?
Look on the bright side.
There isn't one.
Oh, it can't be that bad.
Oh, no?
It's not the end of the world.
What do you know about it?
I know how to put a smile on your face.
And I know how to take the smile off yours. .2.
Hello. Hi, Bev.
Hi, Kelly. You sound a bit low.
At least I can be myself when I'm talking to you.
What are you talking about?
I think the technical term is emotional labour. I've been emotionally labouring all day.
Now you really have lost me.
According to this programme I heard the other day, it's faking it. Showing emotions you don't feel, or hiding ones that you do. I've been smiling all day long, with this cheesy grin fixed on my face, when in reality I feel awful.
Okay, I know what you're talking about. I've heard about it too. It's called Have a Nice Day syndrome, where everyone at work is expected to be relentlessly cheerful or...
They get ticked off by the boss like I was today.
You weren't.
Apparently, I wasn't smiling in the right way. We've had emails and leaflets, even a seminar, about using the right body language and tone of voice. We're supposed to be perky, pleasant and relaxed 100% of the time.
It's crazy. I can understand them not wanting us to be walking around looking like we've got the weight of the world on our shoulders all the time, but sticking on a fake smile when you're feeling like death warmed up is not the answer.
Tell me about it. Then, of course, when I get home, I take it out on poor Tom. Perhaps I ought to change jobs.
To be what? An undertaker?
10.3. 1.
Now you really have lost me.
2.
Okay.
3.
You weren't.
4.
It's crazy.
5.
Tell me about it.
10.4.
A lot of people think that the term emotional labour is just an empty piece of jargon, but it really does exist. It's a modern condition and it describes what happens when people fake or hide emotions in order to appear pleasant and relaxed to those around them. It was first recognized when studies were made of flight attendants in the 1970s, and it was found that the most important part of their job was being able to hide their irritation. Now, every workplace requires its workers to be constantly happy.
But this is nothing new, surely. And isn't it just common sense? No customer is going to want to deal with staff who are gloomy and have long faces all the time.
To an extent, you're right. We all fake it a lot of the time. It's how we get on with other people. But constantly faking emotions can take its toll. You need a lot of energy to control emotion. People who are doing this all day long can get exhausted.
Yes, smiling must be very tiring. All those muscles you're using.
It's not just that. We all need the chance to be ourselves. Say what we feel, vent our emotions. Otherwise, we end up completely numb, unable to feel anything at all. This obviously has a knock-on effect on the family. Going from happy employee to happy wife and happy mum can literally make you ill.
Isn't this all just psychobabble?
I don't think it is. We're under so much pressure these days to be the perfect employee, the perfect spouse, the perfect parent, that people are just feeling guilty all the time that they can't live up to what's expected of them. So we lie. And one way we lie is by faking our emotions.
I still think this is pretty normal stuff. Look at shop assistants. The ones I see are usually lazy, bored, and more concerned about discussing their nails or their partners with their colleagues than dealing with the needs of the customers. They're certainly not faking anything.
Maybe they're not paid enough to care.
Unit 13. Get your priorities right.
13.1.
I can't believe the way they report the news in this country.
What are you moaning about now?
Did you realise that David Beckham got top slot on the news at 7 today? His story had priority over 2 soldiers who were killed in the Middle East.
Wow, Beckham's very popular here.
That's not the point. He's a footballer, for goodness sake. He shouldn't get priority over military action.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. But surely the news guys have to go with what's going to interest most people.
No, they've got a duty to keep us informed of the most important things. And another thing, why don't you see much international news on your TV? People here can't have any idea of what's happening in the rest of the world. You're so insular. You really need to get your priorities right.
Unit 14. We know what you're doing.
14.1. A.
It's just so reassuring to know that I can find out where she is at any time. We can track her movements through this new system. It's amazing, as long as she has it switched on. These days it's so important to know where they are and that they're safe. You worry so much if they're late. Life is so dangerous these days. This just takes such a load off your mind.
B.
I can't stand it. I think it's simply appalling. You can't go anywhere in this town without being caught on film. Whatever happened to privacy? George Orwell got it just right. Big Brother is watching us. Soon it'll be in our homes as well, and then there'll be no escape at all.
C.
No way. These checks have gone too far. I mean, photos fine, but eye prints, thumbprints. And as for having all this information in one place, that's just asking for trouble. Identity theft is such a problem today. More sophisticated ways of recording the information isn't going to stop the thieves. They'll simply up their game. And with these new cards, we're handing them everything on a plate. They're going to be compulsory too. Crazy.
D.
Yeah, I totally agree. Test everyone and have it on record. Fingerprints too. Help beat crime. No problem. Safety first. That's what I say.
E.
No, I think the laws controlling this are nowhere near tight enough. I mean, it's the ultimate invasion of privacy, isn't it? I think the police or Secret Service or whatever need really strong grounds to do it.
14.2. A.
It's just so reassuring to know that I can find out where she is at any time. It's amazing. These days it's so important to know where they are and that they're safe. Life is so dangerous these days.
B.
I can't stand it. I think it's simply appalling. You can't go anywhere in this town without being caught on film. Big Brother is watching us.
C.
These checks have gone too far. I mean, photos fine, but eye prints, thumbprints. And as for having all this information in one place, that's just asking for trouble.
D.
I totally agree.
E.
No, I think the laws controlling this are nowhere near tight enough.
Unit 17. Making money.
17.1.
I Hi, James.
Ah, Ruth, my favorite niece. You said you had an idea you wanted to talk over.
Well, I need some advice, and I'd like to borrow some money. So, who better to come to than the businessman in the family?
If I can help, I will. Tell me about it.
I've decided to take a bit of a risk and start my own business. I'm looking for a backer.
That's good news. I've always thought you'd have a good head for business. So, run this idea past me. If it's any good, I'll see if I can help with the finance.
I've decided to open a beauty salon in the town centre.
Have you done your research?
Oh, yes. It's an ideal business project. There's very little competition in the area. I've done a lot of surveys, and it seems that there's a great demand for the type of salon that I have in mind. I reckon I could get a good return on my initial outlay within 18 months.
Sounds like you've really thought this through.
I have. It would be an excellent investment for you. I can practically guarantee you...
Yeah, okay. Let's not get carried away. Tell me a bit more about the project. Why do you think it would be so popular? What would be your running costs, etc.? Then we'll talk money.
Unit 18. Wired for sound.
18.1.
I was in the supermarket earlier today, and they were playing this awful, syrupy music. It nearly put me off my shopping. I mean, who wants to listen to stuff like that while you're trying to choose your baked beans?
Oh, come on, Simon. Most people like background music.
Well, I think all background music, canned, piped, muzak, whatever you want to call it, should be banned. It's really bad.
So, you don't like it then?
No, Lizzie, I don't. You know me, I love music. It's just, it has to be in its place. And when I've got control of the on-off switch. What I don't like is listening to loud, raucous music while I'm choosing clothes, or irritating, soft, syrupy tunes when I'm in the chemist waiting for a prescription.
You're going a bit over the top there. And by the way, it's called easy listening music.
Whatever it's called, I prefer silence, thank you very much.
Well, you're in a minority. Most people love to have music around them. And don't you think in some places it can really add to the atmosphere? I mean, when I'm clothes shopping, if there's good music playing, it puts me in a good mood.
Yeah, it puts you in the mood for spending money.
So, advertisers target us all the time. At least with music, it's making the experience more enjoyable.
That's a matter of opinion.
Seriously, aren't there some places you don't mind it?
I suppose it's okay in some restaurants, as long as it's not completely in your face.
See?
And there must be some places you don't like it.
Well, to be honest, I can't stand the music they play when you're holding on the phone. Nothing worse than having ABBA singing Waterloo again and again and again.
Hey, don't knock ABBA. At least they're better than some of the music you can get stuck with for half an hour. And you can't agree with this idea to put televisions and piped music on long-distance trains.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. That would be terrible. On trains, you're completely trapped.
Yeah, at least with shops and phones you can hang up or leave. Why on earth they want to make us watch TVs on trains? Well, that's completely beyond me.
Apparently it's something to do with breaking the monotony, letting people catch up with the news or something.
But most guys I know just want to read their books or papers or doze off for a while. And they're talking about having background music in hospitals.
That's okay. They can be pretty gloomy places anyway, and it might take people's minds off their problems. It might actually be good for people, make them less anxious.
See, that's where we differ. I think everyone has the right to silence. If you want music, bring your own.
Oh, you are such a killjoy. Music pleases so many people. Think how awful a completely silent world would be.
You're twisting my words. That's not what I said. Music has its place, but that is not in shops, tube stations, or in hospitals.
Okay, I think you've made your point.
What I don't like is travelling on a crowded train.
2.
There's nothing worse than when the phone rings in the middle of the night. 3.
Don't knock the Rolling Stones.
4. Don't you think the rich should pay higher taxes? 5.
Apparently it's illegal in France.
6. They're talking about raising the age for buying cigarettes.
18.3. In my opinion, all mobile phones on trains should be banned.
Well, I think you're in a minority.
Come on, some people spend the whole journey with a phone glued to their ear.
Now you're exaggerating.
How they can have intimate conversations in front of a carriage full of people is beyond me.
And I suppose you've never used a mobile on a train?
Well, emergencies are a different matter.
Yeah, like when you called me yesterday to let me know when to start cooking dinner.
Unit 21. All change.
21.1.
Gemma, hi. Sorry? You haven't got the faintest idea, have you? Bethany Wheeler. We were at school together.
I don't believe it. Beth! I'd never have recognised you. Not in a million years.
Yeah, I know. Hair's dyed, lost 2 stone, had a nose job. It's not surprising. Whereas you've hardly changed at all.
I suppose I look pretty much the same.
Still with Mark Townsend?
No way. We split 4 years back. I was devastated at first, but you've got to move on. I work for a bank now, and I married the bank manager.
Wow.
And you?
No ties, no other half, no kids, no house, no pets, just a motorbike.
You really have changed. You're nowhere near as quiet as you used to be. Swatting all the time for exams. You never had any time to come out.
Yeah, I really changed when I went to uni. The life and the people were so different. It was a real shock to the system. I dropped out after 2 terms, and I haven't looked back since.
Good for you. You look so happy.
Thanks. I feel really happy. And you? Have things turned out the way you expected?
God, no. I thought I'd go to drama school, get into films and lead a wild life. And look at me, happy and contented with my bank manager. Oh, love's a strange thing.
Unit 22. Time on your side.
22.1.
It was one of those days, you know, when everything just falls into place. I don't know what I'd done to deserve it, and by rights the day should have been a disaster. But for some reason, that day, whoever is in control of time was on my side. I was on a 2-day management training course up in Bolton for my company, and I knew getting back to Southampton on the train that evening was going to be pretty tight. 5 hours at least. And with connections, I didn't even want to think about it. So I didn't, and enjoyed the day as best as I could. Well, ours was the last presentation of the day, and that's when my luck started. We had a strict time limit of 15 minutes for the presentation. A buzzer sounded after exactly 15 minutes. There were 3 of us, and I was speaking last. The other guys were overrunning, and I thought, there's no way we're going to beat the buzzer. Anyway, I did my bit, and no kidding, as soon as I finished my last word, the buzzer sounded. Everyone cheered. So Pete, my colleague, and I hot-footed it to the station with no idea of train times, and there, standing at the platform, was the train we needed. We hopped on, and 10 seconds later it left. How jammy was that? I had to change at Manchester, and Pete was staying there, and by then we were starving, so we thought we'd have a quick meal at a restaurant near the station and spend our expenses. A quick meal turned into something rather bigger and longer, and by now I'd more or less given up hope of getting home that night. I figured I'd probably have to wake up some friend in London and kip on their floor. Back to the station to catch the London train. Train trains went at 1/4 to the hour and 1/4 past. I was bang in between. But there was a London train. The 1/4 to. 15 minutes late. My luck was holding. I got on, the train left immediately, and I was off to Euston and going through a list of friends who would still be up after midnight. But at Euston, the ticket guy said that if I could make it across London in 25 minutes, I stood an outside chance of catching the last train from Waterloo. Well, I legged it to the tube station, and incredibly, a tube pulled in the moment I got to the platform. And you know how long you can wait sometimes. The same thing happened when I changed lines. Tube waiting at the platform. And finally, at Waterloo, there it was. My train, waiting just for me. What it is to have time on your side for once. Oh yeah, and just to round things off nicely, when I got to Southampton, I didn't have any money for a taxi to work, where I'd left my car. And just as I was about to start walking, there was this friend of mine outside the station, going in the same direction, and I got a lift. Thinking back, if I'd been a couple of seconds later, at any point in the day, it wouldn't have worked. Days like that don't happen too often.
Unit 25. How are you?
25.1.
1.
Single women are going to be given treatment on the NHS. How good is that?
I'm not so sure. Couples should get priority, surely.
2.
Apparently, you get pushed right down the transplant lists for hearts and livers. That's so unfair.
Is it? You can understand it, though. I mean, if you don't take care of yourself. 3.
I think it's appalling. It's a miracle cure, and they say it's too pricey to give people. I mean, what is research all about?
But it only gives an extra 6 months of life.
4.
Did you know that you can get a nose job on the NHS now?
That's only if the size is damaging you psychologically.
5.
The cutbacks are really affecting my gran. All sorts of care services are being stopped.
Yes, but surely it's up to the family to help out.
25.2. 1.
It's scandalous that people should have to...
2.
It's completely unethical to...
3.
We have to be realistic.
4.
You can't expect to...
5.
Can you honestly say that...
6.
Are you saying that...
7.
I'm sorry. I don't understand what you're trying to say.
8.
This is something I feel particularly strongly about.
Unit 26. Respect. 1.
I was brought up very much in a Catholic background, and from a very young age was taught to consider other people. Religion doesn't really have a great influence on me now, but there are byproducts of it when it comes to respect. Maybe some sort of education with a discussion group would help create more respect. A lot of people just never sit down and think about it. If they had a forum where they could talk about what respect is all about, it might improve their behavior.
2.
Respect, to me, in a family context, means maintaining a balance and treating your children as adults, and respecting their personalities and views. I was brought up with a pretty strict approach to social behaviour, and the idea that manners maketh man. I think there was an assumption in previous generations that certain people commanded respect and they didn't have to earn it. People in authority, people who wore suits and had proper jobs and so on. That has changed, and there's more of a meritocracy now, and people feel you need to earn respect. But I think it might now have gone too far the other way.
3.
There are different types of younger people. There are some who are just rude and don't care what other people think or what they do. And there's people who do give respect and would stand up on a bus and let older people sit down. Obviously, people of a different status get respected differently. So, a police officer gets more respect than a child. People who hold important jobs or who are older get more respect than younger people. But everyone should be respected, and it doesn't really matter how old you are.
4.
You shouldn't expect people to treat you well if you don't treat them properly. People should be polite to each other. Some people don't give as much respect as they should to their elders, but some older people don't notice the world is changing and people have got a different attitude towards things.
26.2. 1.
There are byproducts of religion when it comes to respect.
2.
If they had a forum where they could talk about what respect is all about, it might improve their behaviour.
3.
There was an assumption in previous generations that certain people commanded respect and they didn't have to earn it.
4.
There's more of a meritocracy now, and people feel you need to earn respect.
5.
People of different status get respected differently.
6.
Some people don't give as much respect as they should to their elders.
Unit 28. What bugs you?
28.1.
I'm going to have a good rant here. I cannot understand why they don't put extra trains on at the height of the rush hour. It's appalling. We pay sky-high prices to travel by train every day, and then we're forced to stand for the whole journey, elbow to elbow with other poor commuters. The carriages are so packed they get really smelly, and there's no way you can get to the buffet for a coffee. Mind you, there'd be no way you could drink the coffee standing up without spilling it all over yourself and other passengers. Not the safest way to travel. By the time I get to work in the mornings, my back aches, my feet hurt, my clothes are creased and smelly, and I am so frazzled it takes ages to unwind.
28.2.
Will someone please tell me how travel agents get away with advertising holidays that are nothing like their descriptions? I've just got back from a week booked in a luxury hotel with sea views, and half the hotel hadn't even been built yet. It was just a shell. Our room was at the back with a disgusting view of the building site and rubbish tip. The noise was just atrocious. There was no way we could relax in our rooms in the daytime. We had to go out from 8 AM to 8 PM, and the beach was filthy and covered in litter. Oh yes, the food at the hotel was revolting. All burgers and chips, and nothing like the beautiful pictures of local food in the brochure. I'm definitely going to ask for my money back. I don't usually like to make a fuss, but I'm certainly up for a fight on this one.
Unit 29. Green light. 29.1.
Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you all here, and I'd like to start by welcoming you to this day of seminars about ways of approaching different environmental problems. I'm not going to be talking for very long, just long enough to give you a brief introduction to the topics covered in our seminars today. I must start by stating the obvious. We all know that what we do with our waste is a huge environmental concern. But today, we're going to be focusing on a source of waste that is rapidly increasing, that of e-waste. Because of the speed at which technological advances are happening, all types of electronic equipment and devices are continually updated. Smaller, faster, cleverer mobile phones are constantly replacing their predecessors, as are PCs, TVs, DVDs, etc., etc. And what happens to those that are no longer needed or wanted? They are either thrown away and buried in landfill sites, poisoning the environment, or stored for future disposal. Figures show that last year, over 31 million old PCs were buried and 152 million stored. That is a lot of old PCs. It's clear that this cannot continue indefinitely, and a lot of research is being done into how the problem can be dealt with. Our seminars today look at ways of approaching this problem. One answer is to recycle a percentage of these old PCs and mobile phones, and later on this morning, you will hear from a company that does just that. In fact, since it started, this company has reprocessed over 2 million PCs, both for reuse and recycling. Other possible solutions are more, how shall we say, creative. There are a lot of innovators out there in the world of technology, and these people are coming up with interesting ways around the problem of disposal of e-waste all the time. You'll be amazed at some of their suggestions. I hope I'm not preempting the content of the seminar, but I have to mention this. Apparently, one of the more creative ideas is a circuit board made out of pasta with electronic components on it. When you're finished with it, you boil it up and the bits fall off to make disposal easier. Or there's the mobile phone case with a sunflower seed embedded in it. When you plant it, a flower grows. And let's not forget the phone's made from a certain plant that decomposes when you bury it. Okay, I won't give away any more surprises. You'll find out all about them later on. I hope this has given you a taste of the range of topics that you'll be hearing about today. As you know, our aim is to encourage people to think carefully about how technology is affecting the environment and what we can do to help. I'd like to thank the organisers for putting together such a varied and interesting range of seminars for us, and all that remains for me to say is, have an informative and enjoyable day, and thank you very much for your attention. The first point I'd like to make is
2.
I'm in the lucky position of being able to
3.
I'll try to be as brief as I can.
4.
Everyone knows that
5.
if you look at the handout, you'll see that
6.
following on from that,
7.
let's move on.
8.
I'd like to finish by saying
9.
it's been a real pleasure.
Unit 30. Memories are made of this.
30.1. 1.
People often don't believe me when I tell them I can remember actually being inside a pram and looking out. I must have been under a year old. It's just a very quick snapshot that I have in my memory. I have this picture of my pram, framed by the edge of a black hood. It must have been raining. And halfway down the picture, going horizontally across, is a spring with brightly coloured balls on it. At the end of my pram is an old toy. a rabbit or a dog propped up in the corner.
2. I was about 9 and we were on holiday in the south of England. We'd gone for a picnic in the countryside. My mum and dad, my sister and me. Mum was sorting out the picnic and Dad was showing my sister some fish in the stream. I wandered off, as boys do, and found a good tree to climb. I was up it in a couple of minutes and I remember very clearly hanging upside down on this branch. Then this weird thought came into my head. Somehow, I knew that there was a big field on the other side of the hedge about 100 yards away. I knew that there was a big black bull in the field and it had a white collar on. I also knew that there was a dead tree in the middle of the field. I dived down and ran over to the hedge and looked through. Sure enough, there was the field, the black bull with the white collar, and the dead tree.
3. Oh, there are so many instances I can give you. I'm sure it's because we overload our memories, but I do get worried sometimes. The most recent was when I was out shopping with my husband, and we met a work colleague who I've worked with for 5 years at least. I was going to introduce them, but could I remember his name? It was gone, a complete blank. I felt a total fool. Words too go from time to time. I was talking to a friend about a tennis game, and I wanted to use the word net, but it wouldn't come. I ended up saying, you know, the thing in the middle of the court.
4.
When I was really young, there was this fire in a house on our street. I have this vivid memory of flames bursting from the windows and black smoke hanging over the street. I can even smell it. I can also remember the noise of the fire engines and the crowds of people watching. It's only recently that during a conversation with my parents, it came out that I wasn't actually there at the time. I was away, staying with my grandparents. Isn't memory a strange thing?
Unit 33. It's my age.
33.1.
Hey, have you read this survey?
Which one?
It's about people living to 100 and what they'd give up to live that long.
And?
Apparently not much. People in general would rather die young after a short, happy, fulfilling life than linger on in a nursing home in bad health and with no money.
Yeah, but if you've still got all your faculties, why not? I know some really sprightly older people.
We're talking 100.
Well, the way we're going with modern medicine and all that, we'll probably still be climbing mountains or whatever when we're 100.
Yes, that's it, isn't it? Live till you're 100, or exist. There's a big difference.
Unit 34. What's the catch? 34.1.
Hello?
Good morning. I'd like to speak to Mrs. Parker.
Yes, that's me.
Good morning, Mrs. Parker. My name is Ian Jessup. I'm phoning from the International Lottery Agency, and I'm delighted to inform you that you have just won second prize in the Canadian Lottery for March.
But I never entered the Canadian lottery. You must have the wrong person.
No, Mrs. Parker. Your name was one of several hundred that were entered randomly. You have won a substantial cash sum. It amounts to £1 million, minus insurance.
That's amazing! I can't believe it. This isn't a joke, is it?
I can assure you that this is no joke. Let me put you through to our accounts department and they will talk you through what happens next and how the money will be transferred to you.
Hello, Mrs. Parker. David Farlow here from International Lottery Accounts. I understand congratulations are in order.
Apparently. I'm still reeling from the shock.
Well, don't worry. I'm here to help you. First, I need to take a few details. Is that okay?
Sure.
Can you give give me your bank and account number, please?
Is it safe to give out that information over the phone?
You're quite right to be careful. I can give you my number, and you can call me back to establish that I am who I say I am. Shall I do that?
Oh, no, that's okay. My bank is National Bank, account number 012348765.
Thank you, Mrs. Parker. That is all I need to know. The money should be transferred to your account within a fortnight, as soon as we receive the insurance premium.
Insurance?
Did my colleague not mention this to you?
Oh, yes, I think he did say something about insurance, but I wasn't really listening.
That's understandable. Well, when transferring an amount of money this substantial from Canada, it needs to be covered by insurance. In the case of your prize, the premium will be £250. If you could send us a check for this amount, your money will be covered, and we'll be able to release it. Is that all right?
Fine. It's not much compared to £1 million, is it?
Absolutely. And perhaps next time you'll win the first prize of $5 million. If you could send the check to...
Unit 38. What's the score?
38.1.
The film tells the story of Marion Crane, a young woman who is in love with a guy called Sam Loomis. She embezzles money from her boss so that she and Sam can be together. Marion runs away and ends up at an isolated motel called the Bates Motel, which is run by a young man called Norman. Norman lives with his bedridden mother in an old mansion adjacent to the hotel. Marion takes a room at the motel, and over dinner, she and Norman discuss life and its traps. Marion decides to go back and return the money, but she doesn't have the chance. That night, she is stabbed to death while in the shower by a shadowy figure that looks like an old lady. Norman discovers the body and is horrified. He hides the body and cleans up after the murder to protect his mother. Other people arrive at the Bates Motel looking for Marion. A private investigator, Milton, comes first and is stabbed on the stairs in the mansion. Then, Marion's boyfriend, Sam, arrives with her sister, Lila, and they discover that in fact Norman's mother died several years ago. While Sam tries to distract Norman, Lila goes to search the mansion. She goes down to the basement, where she finds the mummified corpse of an old lady. Meanwhile, Norman becomes suspicious and knocks Sam out. He goes up to the mansion. Suddenly, Mother comes up behind Lila. Sam arrives on the scene just in time to save Lila, and they find that Mother is in fact Norman, dressed in his mother's clothes. Later at the police station, we learn that Norman killed his mother in a jealous rage, and since then he has kept his mother alive by taking on her identity. He has shut out any memory of what really happened. The film finishes with Norman alone in his cell.
38.2. 1.